Hi, everybody. We've been looking at the Old Testament, and especially looking for how we see Jesus in the Old Testament, because he's all over the place there. And today we're entering into Amos. Amos, if you want kind of an example, modern-day example of what Amos was like, think Martin Luther King Jr. He was all about justice for those who didn't have justice. I think about, my own prejudice. I remember when I was younger, I couldn't imagine a black person marrying a white person. And that was just prejudice. I mean, it's just skin color. There was nothing more than that. I've grown beyond that, but I know that prejudice is part of our culture, and Martin Luther King Jr. was telling us that needed to change. And it did need to change, and it is changing. But that's sort of Amos, too. He was concerned about there was a bunch of these poor people, and there were rich people, and the rich people were taking advantage of the poor people. That happens today, too. And it's always a recipe for a revolution. If you look through history, whenever you have that kind of, difference of a lot of, rich people and poor people and not much of a middle class, you got a problem. And that, I think, is happening in America today, and something we should be paying attention to. But back to Amos, he didn't want just trickle-down justice, but he wanted a mighty justice. He wanted a revolutionary change, and we're going to see that as we get into his book. We'll do that starting tomorrow. But what I want to say today is that Jesus follows in Amos's footsteps. He tells us not to be so concerned about our goods or our money or our possessions or our food or our clothing, but to be concerned about God's kingdom and about God's righteousness, which you could translate God's justice. And so it's what we're supposed to be about. And remember, too, that this is God's calling card, that in the Old Testament, when God talks about himself, often God says that he is the God of the poor, of the oppressed, of those who are on the outskirts of society or down and out. That's who God's about, the widow and the orphan. That's said over and over again in the Bible. So as God changes your heart and changes you into more of what he wants, what God wants, you're going to find that you also have a heart for those who are down and out, those who don't have what they need. And you know what? That's where the fun part of life really lives anyway, is not focusing on yourself, but focusing on others. Well, I hope you have a great day. God bless, and take care.